Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Change Heroes from Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. So we have the 5 main team members here, and these are basically 4-inch little action figures that are fully painted and have the ability to transform from the robot mode to the alt mode. Now, most of them I should say, because obviously Zenkaiger doesn't have an alt mode. On the back of the packaging, he's just kind of standing still and then transforms into a dynamic action pose. But really, they're just boasting, you know, how poseable he is. So he's just really an action figure. But the other 4 have the ability. Here is Zenkai Jiron to transform from the robot mode to the alt mode. They're calling it Kikai mode. Alt mode to me because I'm used to Transformer terminology. But they basically get taken apart and put together in a different configuration, so they don't fully transform like the DX toys do. But still pretty cool, and they should be fun little action figures here. Here is Zenkai Vroom. And they are still doing the Yudo this year, so the difference is going to be that the Yudo are just fully articulated action figures, and they will have stickers that you have to apply, and they don't transform. So if you're looking for something that does transform and is fully painted, then these would be the way to go for you. Here is Zenkai Majin. And then last but not least, we have Zenkai Gowon. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these guys out of the packaging here, and we're going to take a closer look. So here are the 5 figures out of the packaging, and as far as action figures go, I think they're all really fun. As far as transformations go, they don't all hit, but we'll get there in a second. I'm going to go ahead and move everyone off to the side, and we'll look at them individually. We'll start with Zenkaiger. Now, Zenkaiger is basically just a painted Yudo body. And to illustrate that, here is Ryuso Red. I couldn't find Kirame Red, so I decided to go with Ryuso Red. But you can see, you can see that the knee joints are basically the same. You got the ankle joints. Like, the bodies are exactly the same. They use the same body type. Obviously, the arms are slightly different as far as moldings needed, but they really are just the same body. So it is basically just a painted Yudo figure, which is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. He has this little cape piece that you just peg in. There's 2 pegs and 2 peg holes right there on the back. If you want to leave it off for some reason, you certainly can. So if we take a close-up look at the head sculpt, they tried to mold the 45 there into the head crest. It's a little wonky, but for the most part it's there. The antennae are a little bit softer plastic, but the head's nicely painted. All the rainbow colors are all nicely painted. You have a spin here and a hinge in the neck. You can take the head completely off if you want because it is just a Yudo figure. You have a spin here. You have a hinge. Again, you can just pull these in and out to get a little bit more range of motion. You have a hinge there in the shoulder pad. You have a bicep swivel, you have a 180-degree bend in the elbow, you have a ball joint in the wrist, and he does come with a tiny Gatlinger that is not painted whatsoever, just molded in white. You do have a swivel in the waist, and again, you can pop that off. You could technically mix and match with other Yudo figures. You have a ball joint there in the hip, you have a thigh spin, you have pretty much, not quite 180 degrees, but you can go bend the knee backwards a little bit, and then you have a ball joint in the ankle. So it's a good looking figure. I like it a lot. It's, a painted Yudo figure, which is something I've wanted because I hate stickers. So I like him. I would have liked to see the Gatlinger painted a little bit, but I understand why it's not. But other than that, I think he's a fun little figure. Now again, he doesn't transform in any way because he's the one human character. But he does look cool. Very nicely painted. And he should scale well with just about every other 4-inch figure that I have. So just for fun, here is a 4-inch Fortnite figure. And here is a 4-inch Spider-Man. As they all fall over. Don't fall over. So pretty cool. Nice, painted, detailed 4-inch action figure. I'm here for it. Very excited. But yeah, he looks very good. So here is Jiron. And I think he might be my favorite. I just think they did a great job with him. The posability is great. The detail looks really good. You have a head swivel, and I believe you can just unpeg the head completely. You have a swivel and hinge joint here in the shoulder. You have a bicep swivel. Well, really the bicep swivel is kind of right above the elbow. And then you have the elbow joint, not quite 90 degrees in either direction, but for the most part it's pretty good. You have a waist swivel. You have a hinge out to the side, movement here in the I want to say knee, in the hip. You have movement here. You have a thigh swivel right above the knee. Then you have kind of 180 degrees in the knee because of, his transformation. And then you have kind of a limited ball joint here in the ankle, but it does give you some ankle tilt, which is nice. So he looks good. He comes with a sword. I think looks really nice. He's got some nice paint applications. Now he does have this extra block piece. I just store it on the back because I feel like it, can be stored there without really even showing up from the front. But you don't have to. If you want to just keep that off to the side, you can. It's for the transformation. So basically what we're going to do, take this off, spin the head around. Unfortunately, there's not much else you can do with it. You're going to put the arms straight back, just like the DX transformation. You're going to take this part off and unpeg the legs. You're going to flip this around like this, and then this gets pegged in, I believe it's like this. And then this gets pegged in back here. And then the legs get pegged on to the sides here like this. To these pegs right here. And I mean, you can play with it and customize it a little bit if you want, and then you just peg the tail in there. So if you like the legs a little bit somewhere different, you can play with it. But that's pretty much it. He doesn't have any T-Rex hands, which is kind of a bummer. So this is not one of the more successful ones to me. It's okay. But, I mean, honestly, you could, if you really wanted to, just take the head off completely and just kind of put that off to the side. You do have that option if you like the look of that. And that's a little better. But, again, you just kind of have the arms sticking out there to the side, which is not the best, but I get what they're going for. He's a little dino. Transformation back, pretty simple. It's really just the one extra piece. So you just pop this back on. Oop, that just came off. Apparently that just pegs onto the side there. I didn't even realize that was removable, but apparently it is. Good to know I can peg it right back on so I don't break it. Pop the head back on, and then I'm going to store this on the back. And then this smaller piece right here goes in the hand. So this part is only to peg it into the back. But I mean, I think it looks good. He's got a nice range of motion. It's a fun little action figure. I mean, he has the transformation, which is nice. It's not the best, but I mean, he has it. Now, he doesn't come with a shield piece, which is kind of a bummer. And I thought for fun I would bring in his DX counterpart so you can see the size discrepancy. But you can see the proportions are a little better on here. He just looks like a much, more cohesive, scaled action figure. But he does not have the shield, which is kind of a bummer. I think it's probably about half as tall as the DX counterpart. But yeah, I really like him. I think they did a great job. The transformation, it's the other mode is okay, but I really like just having this as an action figure with nice articulation, and the paint applications are pretty good. So I think he looks good. So next up we'll do Gowon, because he's honestly very similar to Jiron, and you can even kind of see, his legs are almost completely the same, just with slightly different tweaks. His waist section is pretty similar. So all in all, they're pretty similar, and their transformation is pretty similar. But articulation-wise, pretty much all the same articulation. You have the elbow joint, you have the spin, you have the waist spin, you have the hinge and the movement here in the hip. Yeah, I would say, honestly, it's pretty much exactly the same articulation as Jiron. And just for fun, here is his DX counterpart as well. You can see, again, about half as tall, but certainly better proportions on the action figure over here. So getting into the transformation, we're going to unhook this piece, unhook the head. You're going to take these off, and then they were pegged in here, and you're going to peg this in instead. So you're just going to flip that around. And unfortunately, there's no great way for like the hands to peg in anywhere. I kind of wish they pegged in somewhere, so they just kind of, you know, hang out. So it looks like he's got two arms next to themselves, but what are you going to do? This is going to, no, he has a piece on his back as well, exactly the same as the extra piece for Jiron. And that is going to peg in here, and then this pegs in here just to give him a little bit more length. And then you're just going to fold these down and fold this down, and then this pegs in on top of here, and then this pegs in underneath. And there you go. There is the lion mode. Again, it's not the best. You know, you have the two hand thing going on here with like the outer leg and then the hands just right there. The head is very visibly just on the bottom, but not really any better than Jiron's. And again, you could just take it off and just put it off to the side. So it's okay. It's not the best. I honestly don't even really feel like you need this. Unless you wanted to peg that head in, you could just leave it like this. And then it's a little bit more cohesive. And I kind of like that a little better. So as long as you don't need somewhere to store the head, although I guess technically you could put the head under here. If you're just going to leave it on Front Street anyway. I don't know. So that's a little better in my opinion. But they give you that extra piece just to kind of, you know, give you some length to the animal body. And transforming it back is pretty simple. And where is that head? So overall, I think he looks pretty good. I feel like these animal legs, though, kind of, when you're trying to use the shoulders, they don't really get in the way, but they feel like they might. So overall, he's alright. Next up, we have Zenkai Majin, which I think is the most successful as far as the transformation goes. We'll get there in a moment. Now, she does have some extra pieces. You can store them here on the back if you want, but you don't have to. If you want to just kind of deal with her. Oops, I just popped her knee off. There we go, pop that back on. So she's got a pretty excellent head sculpt. Got the 29 there, molded into the helmet. Got the Magic King hat going on there, nice painted eyes. So she's got a head swivel, a hinge and a swivel in the shoulder. My shoulder's a little messed up, if you can see that. It doesn't want to close all the way. And I thought it was one of the pieces on the inside was preventing it, but I tried to like take that piece out and move it around, and I don't know, it just doesn't really want to close up all the way. So that's a bit of a bummer, but you have the hinge here for the wing. You have a swivel right above the elbow. You have about 180 degrees in the elbow. Forearm and hand are all one solid piece. Swivel in the waist. You have a hinge here for the front skirt. Then you have a hinge and a swivel for the hip. Then you have a swivel right above the knee, bend in the knee, and then you have a kind of ball joint in the ankle, but then there's some extra articulation for the transformation for the head there. And you can see the head of the dragon's pretty nicely painted with silver, blue eye, looking very nice. So transformation, no big deal. Pop off the head, pop off the torso section. This is going to, I think it goes like this. And then you just kind of bend at the elbows like that. You're going to take the legs and you're going to pop those feet down like I showed earlier, and they will peg into each other. And that, whoops, forms your dragon head. Then you're going to peg this into here. Then you're going to take this piece and peg this into the back like this. And then this pegs in here. And then the head has a hole in the back which pegs in back here. Or do I peg it in like this? Might be like this. Yeah, there we go. And there you go. There's your dragon. And I think that's actually pretty successful. You have a hinge for the wings. You have the little dragon hands. You have the nice long dragon neck, which you can actually get a little bit of posability with because of the knee joints and whatnot going on with her legs. So it's actually pretty effective. I think this one actually is the most successful. You have some ball joint movement back here for these legs. Like I said, you can all the same movement you had in these arms previously. I think it's a pretty cool little dragon. I think it works. And transforming it back is pretty simply done. Take these pieces and just kind of put these off to the side. Swivel this back down. Pop this on here. This goes here, and then just unpeg the feet. And apparently unpeg the ball joint. So just pop that back on. The nice thing is pieces on here will come off, but you can just peg everything back on. It's really easy to do. Now I was kind of hoping she could wield this as like a weapon, but both of the peg holes are too big for her hand, and they don't peg into the side either, so not really an option. If you wanted to kind of put her on the back like she had a tail, you could do that, but that's about it. So. And last but, well, maybe least, Vroom. He looks okay as an action figure. I mean, he's got big giant wheels just hanging off of his forearms. I don't mind the one in the shoulder, really, but the one hanging off of his forearms really just gets in the way. At least they painted the side of the wheel, but everything else is just hollow blue plastic. His legs are actually really hollow as well. I do like his little, pickaxe weapon. It's kind of neat. And the head sculpt looks pretty good. He's got the 30 molded in there. The eyes are nicely painted. He's got a head swivel. He's got a, swivel here because it's just a peg. He's got the hinge. He does have the bicep swivel above the elbow, 90 degrees in the elbow. Well, a little bit more, but the wheels hit. Then you have a swivel here. You have a hinge and swivel in the hip. And then a little bit more than 90 degrees in the knee. And then he doesn't really have any ankle tilt because he doesn't really have any ankles. He's just a big robot. So he's okay. But then we do the transformation. You basically take this off. This goes like this. They want you to just straighten this out to make the wheels. And then, I forgot about this little piece on the back. I just store it on the back like I did for all the others. You're going to take this, and they want you to peg the head there like that. And then come underneath and peg this here so that that's just sticking out the front. Then they want you to take the legs and bend them up like this. And then this piece will actually, you can see how it has these two kind of channels. It'll fit on the kneecaps. So that kind of pegs on there like that. And then they want you to peg this into this part underneath, the more bottom of the two peg holes, the further south. And there you go. That is the truck mode, I guess. It's a thing. I don't know. It's okay, I guess. It could be worse. It could be better. I don't know. It's all right. That's the best I can say for it. It's just, yeah, it's not that great. But the transformation is really simple and easy to go back and forth, so that's nice. I guess. I'm trying to find a positive here. I mean, I'll be honest. None of them are 100% like great transformations, but they're tiny little figures, and there's only so much they can do, and I get it. So, zoom out. Yeah, I mean, the little robot mode is great. The transformation and the vehicle mode. Oops, I popped his leg off. Not so much. So I think they're fun little figures. Well, let's break it down. So Zenkaiger is basically just a painted Udo figure. So there's nothing wrong there. Obviously, when the Udo figure does come out, it's going to have even more stickers. So some areas where paint applications were left off to meet budget, you'll get stickers for those, like the Geertlinger, the ankle cuffs, things like that. You see that there's more cuffs around his forearm and biceps and things like that. Those will get stickers for the Udo. So the Udo will basically look like this, but with even more paint applications, or sticker applications in this case. But if you want a painted Udo figure because you don't like to mess with stickers like me, this is a great option. I'm probably going to get both, and I'll do a comparison when the Udos finally come out. But this guy is perfectly good. He's a Udo figure with some nice paint applications, looks solid, doesn't have any transformations, so nothing to worry about there. So I think he's great. Jiron is probably my favorite of the 4 robots. I just think his proportions look the best. His color scheme looks great. I love the sword. I think his head sculpt's good. His T-Rex mode is meh. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's, it's just kind of there. So if you just want an articulated figure of Jiron in this mode, I think this is great. Basically, the Udo figure will be something very similar to this, but it'll be stickers instead of paint. So if you just want a painted version, go with this. If you want maybe a slightly better articulated figure with stickers, get the Udo. Gowon is fine. I also don't have, he's very similar to Jiron in build. I would say he probably shares a lot of the same pieces, especially in the legs. But he's good. I mean, honestly, all 5 of them I like in the robot modes. Or, obviously he's not a robot. But the 4 robots, I like the robot modes a lot. They're nice, little articulated figures. And for the most part, they look good. It's just the transformations that I don't think are that successful. His lion mode is okay. Again, it's very similar to the T-Rex for Jiron. It's okay. It's not amazing. I think Majin's dragon is definitely the most successful, and I really like the look of her robot mode. So she's probably the most successful as far as having 2 modes that are good. I think they did a pretty great job with her. Sadly, Vroom, who I really wanted to like, is probably my least favorite. Again, the robot mode is fine. I don't need these giant wheels on his forearm. It's the only part of the robot mode I don't care for. But his head looks good. He's got some good paint applications and nice articulation. His little vehicle mode, though, is kind of sad. I mean, yes, it does look like a vehicle, but I don't know. I just don't care for it that much. But I do think the robot mode looks fine. So I would say, in conclusion, the change aspect of these is not so great. Just having articulated little figures, they're great. They look good, they articulate well, nice paint applications. I like them for that. So if you don't care about the change aspect and you don't mind stickers, Udo might be the way to go. But if you hate stickers and you feel like, well, I'll just leave them in the robot modes and I don't care about the change aspect, then go ahead and grab these. They're nicely painted, nicely articulated. It's basically going to come down to Udo is going to have stickers, but probably be a little bit more successful with robot modes because they don't have to worry about the transformations. These are fully painted, but they have the transformations, so that hinders a couple things. So it's kind of just that trade-off. You have to decide which one you care about. Now, I'm probably going to get both. That way I'll be able to do comparisons for you guys. But honestly, I think as little figures, they're great. The transformation aspect, they did their best, and they're fine. Some of them are okay, some of them are terrible, some of them are in the middle. But I think they're great little articulated figures, and that's mostly what I'm going to use them for. Like, I love the look of Jiron here just as a robot. I don't really care about his T-Rex mode. Gowon I really like, and honestly, I like them all in the robot mode. Just some of them, I feel like he suffers because he's got a lot of hollow legs. And he's got the hollow forearms and these giant wheels here. And that kind of hinders his robot mode. Whereas, say, the Udo might have this smaller or built onto the forearm or just completely removed because they don't need it for that other mode because it's not going to transform. So I'm very interested to see what the Udo do in comparison to these because they don't have to worry about a transformation. They can just make a really good articulated figure. So I'm definitely be interested to do the comparison when that happens. But if you want something in the meantime, if you can't wait, I think these are fine. And then, like I said, I can't even really say the Udo is better because I haven't seen them yet. I guess I've seen kind of pictures, but I don't have them in hand. So I think these are nice, especially if you don't want to deal with stickers and you want the ability to transform them every once in a while. Even though they're not that great, they still have that functionality. So I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. In any case, these are okay. They're not amazing. They're not great. You guys know what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.